excited to continue with our program this afternoon, and we have a fantastic session lined up to kick things off. Now, it is my pleasure to invite Yang Berhormat Tuan Gobind Singh, Minister of Digital, for a session entitled Harnessing Data as a Catalyst for the Digital Economy. Please join me with a big round of applause to welcome YB Tuan Gobind Singh to the stage.
Terima kasih ucapkan saudari pengatur acara majlis, Cik Syed Muhammad Arif, President Perdana Fellows Alumni Association, Evanina Effendi, Director Youth Economic Forum 2024, yang berbahagia Tan Sri Syed Zainal, Executive Chairman DNX, Han Yo Kyong Han, Executive Director YTL Power, Mr. Shankar Kanaberan, Malaysia Deputy Consulting Leader and Partner EY, Elena Roslan, Senior Director, My Digital Corporation, which comes under my ministry, Ministry of Digital, distinguished guests, industry leaders, members of the media, most importantly, the youth of Malaysia. Apa khabar semua? I know it's a Saturday afternoon, but don't worry, we'll get to Sunday. Yeah. Thank you very much for inviting me, and a very good afternoon to all of you. Ladies and gentlemen, let's look backwards. 1983. Science fiction writer, Professor Isaac Asimov, he was asked to predict what would the world be? What would it be like in the year 2019? Now, at that point in time, many years ago, he made predictions. And those predictions were astonishingly accurate. Now, he saw computers becoming, and in his own words, impossible to do without, disrupting work and transforming the home. He anticipated that robotics would upend the way we work, with automation taking over clerical and also factory jobs. Fast forward to today, and we see that he was right on many counts. We live today in a world where computers are powerful, ubiquitous, and almost indispensable. They fit into the palm of our hands. They connect us to friends and family who live thousands of miles away, and they make altogether our daily lives easier. The future that Professor Isaac envisioned has arrived. It is our present. This, of course, raises questions. What will the future hold for us, for you, the youth of today? Our world has become increasingly volatile. It has become increasingly uncertain, complex, one may say, even ambiguous. Technology, which used to evolve over long periods of time, now evolves at light speed. Often, within years, new technology is developed, if not months. The world's digital footprint is expanding, and it is matched by a rapid acceleration in sophisticated cybercrime. And next-generation technologies are developing, bringing with them not only opportunities, but also great risks. Now, ladies and gentlemen, generative AI, for instance, could have an outsized impact on the world that we live in today, a world that faces global elections. This year, for example, roughly 2 billion people eligible to vote in many different countries. Question is, how do we know what we see and read online is real, truthful, or even unbiased? How do we know if content that we read is authentic or synthetic? How can we discern if the output that we all look to from a large language model or LLM is valid, authentic, or mere hallucinations? To some of you, you would use the term dilulu. Tan Sri, that one is, kita kena explain sikit. Now, much has been said about the potential of the metaverse, for example, and it is most likely to be the next frontier of the internet. So the Professor Isaacs and the like of today imagine a future where our physical and virtual lives will converge in an immersive digital world, where all of us can act, interact, and transact online. Consider a world now, for instance, where a simple search query can transport you to a virtual deep sea exploration or the furthest reaches of space, all without any physical movement at all. Something that we would have many years ago thought almost impossible. These possibilities are limitless. But as certain quarters construct walled gardens to dominate these ecosystems, we are confronted with a myriad of ethical questions, particularly about the future of data privacy and security. What will the concentration of power mean for the integrity of our personal information and digital lives? Who will control data points that we generate as we go about our digital lives in this new digital world? And if that is not enough, let's speak about next-gen technology, how things are going to operate a lot faster than they operate today. Let's talk about quantum computing. Imagine if large-scale and commercially ready quantum computers are built. They could easily unlock vast computational power, far beyond what classical supercomputers of today do. You blend that with AI. Quantum computing can exponentially transform the landscape of industries like healthcare, finance, and logistics because it enables faster and more efficient processing. Imagine the risks that flow with that as well, and how it is we need to develop a structure and a framework in our nation that is going to be able to govern that. On the flip side, quantum technologies will also be able to break encryption systems that are commonly used today. Now, there is a good side to that, there is a bad side to that. We are moving towards that scenario that we read about, known as Q-Day. This would severely compromise any and every sector that relies on encrypted data, and it could pose serious threats to technological sovereignty, national security, cybersecurity, not just in our country, but worldwide. These, ladies and gentlemen, are just a few of the opportunities and also challenges that confront the youth of today globally. There are and will be even more challenges ahead. So the question for the government of the day is this: how can we prepare for tomorrow, today? Let me just perhaps highlight a few initiatives taken by my ministry, the Ministry of Digital, geared towards this, in building the groundwork for a future-ready Malaysia. At the heart of any technology, whether existing or emerging, is data. People often describe data as the new oil. But in Singapore recently, in a bilateral meeting that I had with Dr. Andrew Carlton, Australian Member of Parliament, Special Envoy for Cybersecurity and Digital Resilience, he made an interesting point. He described it as the new uranium, Like uranium, he said, data is valuable, most valuable, but it comes with risks, great risks. Now, against this backdrop, and having said and explained to you why it is we must look at data as something that we can harness, something that we need to think about in terms of governance so that it can empower us in terms of technology, providing solutions through AI. At the same time, there's a need for us to ensure that it is not used in a manner that brings about harm to society. The Ministry of Digital has looked at different areas. First, we speak about data storage and management. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as data is generated, it must be securely stored and managed, often in data centers or cloud move environments. My ministry is looking to introduce a national cloud policy that we hope will establish that robust security framework for both public and private clouds. So you have data, you store it, and you manage it. Then you must make sure that data is protected. As data is stored, processed, and used, there is a need for us to ensure that it's safe. In July this year, we strengthened our Personal Data Protection Act, which was first brought into force in 2010. The idea behind that, of course, apart from updating it, since it has been in its original form since 2010, we wanted to implement stricter measures to align with global standards and improve personal data protection. Having done with data protection, we then focus on security. Data security. Securing a cyber environment within which data flows are crucial for building digital trust. To achieve this, we tabled the Cybersecurity Act this year. It came into force on the 26th of August. It establishes a framework that manages cybersecurity threats for national critical information infrastructure. And of course, it establishes licensing rules for cybersecurity providers. We will depend on these infrastructure as we go ahead. Imagine a day in which, as a result of some technical glitch or even a cyber threat or attack, we don't have electricity to use for a week, a month. Now that will bring serious consequences to our country, and it will cause severe damage. We must ensure that these infrastructures, therefore, have got in place measures to safeguard themselves from a cyber perspective. Now you have data, you have stored it, you have managed it, you protect it, and it is secure. We must then look at how it is we can use this data. So we come to data innovation. In order for us to make sure that there is a safe and secure data ecosystem which lays a foundation on which innovation can thrive, we must look at three key pillars of data governance. This, of course, would include looking at data sharing. Now, a lot of you here will know that data can be used in ways that will help us. But there's always this problem about how it is we want to make sure that the data that is used does not expose identities of people that share that data or use the data or to whom that data belongs. So there's a question now of how it is you can separate the two, how you can anonymize data so that data can be used for the benefit of good, but at the same time, you protect the identity of the person who delivered that data or from whom the data came so that his personal rights are not infringed. We need to think about a mechanism that allows that, facilitates that, so that moving ahead, you do not have this problem of not knowing how it is you can share data and make the best use of it. In order to achieve this, we propose in this sitting of Parliament to table a data sharing bill, which will establish clear regulatory frameworks for the sharing of public sector data. Of course, this is work in progress, and as we go along, we would like to expand on it. Now, with innovation, the risks exist. There is a need to think then about data governance. Data governance is key, but data governance is a huge area that requires multi-level interaction, multi-level discussion, multi-level engagement between different stakeholders. You've got the industry. They want to create products. They know what the problems are. They find solutions. They create these solutions. You've got society, the societies that have to deal with these problems. They want to create solutions that make these problems more, that solve these problems, create services that are more efficient. But at the same time, you want to make sure that there's a balance, the good against the risks. So we need to see how it is government can play a role in this. Some countries have what we call a regulatory approach. So if you go to the EU, for example, they've come up with an EU AI Act that governs AI, that governs how this data is used. But if you go to America, for example, they have what we call a light touch approach. That means that they do not actually regulate in terms of law, but they let the industry decide what kind of standards need to be put in place so as to ensure that the products that are created, the solutions that are forthcoming are secure. Again, there are different models that exist in different countries, and Malaysia needs to start looking at that, and we need to decide what it is we are going to do so as to keep our country safe. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are working to bring all these elements together, and we hope to do it under one roof, a Digital Trust and Data Safety Commission. This is, to me, critical in an era where data flows underpin every critical aspect of our daily lives. We hope to lay a lasting foundation that is resilient to disruption and change, both for now and the future. So let me leave all of you with this. I know I was told I only have 7 minutes to speak, but as usual, it's a problem when you give a politician a mic. It was over 40 years ago that Professor Isaac Asimov made his predictions about the future. The future has come. It is now your turn, the youth of Malaysia. It is for you to chart the decades to come. The future is now, today. And with that, I would like to thank each of you for being here. Hear me out. Have an excellent forum, and I hope that you will all take away valuable insights from the conversation that we will have today. Thank you very much. Terima kasih.
Thank you so much, YB, for the meaningful speech.